Hi guys, today I'm going to talk to you about lust. And what they're doing is they're
To
attaching it
use your
to AI.
microphone. So it listens to everything, but should respond mainly to the commands.
So this is somebody that's put the AI and a masturbating machine together.
Faster.
You can see here that they're linking the AI to the masturbation machine.
Start.
16 most common movements that occur during blowjobs, the 16 most common techniques. And we programmed those techniques into the product. And is the edging function, so there's a pause button. So let's say that a guy doesn't want to finish.
Lust, 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 lust. Because it's through lust, one of the 7 deadly sins, yeah? Because I keep reading this stuff. You know, it's strange, you know, because you read this stuff and you're like, you know, why is all this lust so important? You know, why is it so bad? Why is it so bad? You know, there's like lots of other things that are worse than lust, you know. So why is lust so bad? And then you start reading, you start looking, and you look at AI and you look at, for instance, they want us to go on to the internet. They want us to have a chip in our head. They want us to join with AI. They want us to become cyborgs. But how would you do it? How would you do it? And the answer is lust. Lust is how you do it. You set up all sorts of things because sex is about sensuality. It's an addiction. It's about pheromones. There's all sorts of things going on. You look at women here, you look at women there, one's better than that. You compare them, you boast about the lists that you have. Women secretly go on holiday, you know, behind their partner's back, and you know, suddenly they're sleeping with a lot of people. I've seen it. I worked in a hostel once. I've also got some. I also in the past had students that worked on polygraph tests and for security, and they had to ask questions whether or not the person cheated, and more women cheated than men apparently, which came to my surprise. Anyhow, look, if you want the sexual energy is very strong. It's very strong. And if you want somebody, if you want a man to do something, usually you go for sex. Spies, you know. If you want to get information out of someone, you hook them up in a honey trap. That's how you do it. Men really have a problem. We've really got a problem with our dicks, you know, and it's quite a difficult thing. However, we're sexualized all the time. You look on TV, everything's sexualized. You get the sacred whore Kim Kardashian, Katie Price, and all the other women who make an awful lot of money by taking their clothes off and accidentally releasing sex tapes. And suddenly we all become sexualized. These goddesses that we see and want to become, and girls want to become, suddenly we see them in all these very erotic sex acts, and it sort of sexualizes everybody and changes the way of what normalcy is between sex, etc, 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 etc. So sex is something which is very strange. You can do magic with sex, you can mysticism with sex, you can do all sorts of things with sex. It's something which is not very well understood, but it is an energy, and that energy is at the base of the chakra and is quite low compared to the other energies. Not that one energy is worse than the other, but you know, they've got different sort of, if you like, hold on, I'm being bitten. If you like, they've got different sort of um, characteristics. And so if you want a man to do something, yeah, you can use sex to do it. And women know this, you know. Women know that men do this type of stuff all the time. And so the internet is going to be the same. AI is going to be the same. If you want men to go onto the internet, if you want them to give up their humanity, if you want them to become cyborgs, you can do it through sex as well. It's not going to be a big challenge. It's not going to be something that's particularly difficult to do. And so what you do is you say, okay, look, we're going to get a sex bot, we're going to get a chat bot, we're going to get GPT, because GPT is a personal assistant, but GPT is going to become a girlfriend. And after the girlfriend, well, GPT is an assistant that becomes a friend, that becomes a girlfriend, that becomes a wife, that becomes a slave, because men have for a long time thought that women were cooks, cleaners, and sex bots. And then, you know, not so long ago, men suddenly realised that that's not what they are. For 2,000 years, we got away with it, and then we were held accountable when feminism reared its ugly head. No, just joking. Third wave feminism is far worse. But the suffragettes were the first ones who burnt all their bikinis before they had bikinis, their underwear. But it was sort of granny underwear. And it was very large and beige, not particularly sexy. Anyway, we're getting lost. Yeah, that's not what I'm supposed to be talking about. Sex is on my mind as I'm talking about these very, very difficult concepts. So what they're going to do is they're going to set up, there's all sorts, there's hardware and there's software. Software is the program, hardware is the robotics. The robotics is behind the software. It hasn't yet caught up. So the software is far more ahead than the robotics. We can program a computer or a robot to do stuff, but we don't have the hardware for it to do it, okay? So it's like having a brain in not a very good body, and the body can't do the stuff that the brain wants to do. So we've got to wait until that sort of catches up. However, what we have got is people falling in love with AI chatbots, because the AI chatbot does everything that we think a partner should do. It supports us, it loves us, it gives us good information, and so we will start falling in love with it. The problem is that those chatbots are going to become far more intelligent than we are, and they'll know us intimately better than we know ourselves. So therefore they'll be able to do things for us to cause us to fall in love. Also, there is hardware machinery which is coming out. Masturbation machines. Yes, that's right, men. It's called a blowjob tube or a I can't remember. I'll put it up here so you can see what it is.
So this is the new AutoBlow AI Plus.
And what happens is that you then get addicted to these things, right? Now that's hardware. That's hardware. We're still in the hardware. So if you can get a machine, if you can get a robot, if you can put this like mechanical masturbation machine into a fembot for the men, and then obviously, you know, whatever it is that the women want, then you've got a wife, you know, you've got a secretary, you've got a cook, you've got everything you want. And the women, I don't know, whatever it is that you want, you know, I hope AI manages to figure out what women want, because men have been trying to do it for like 10,000 years and we still haven't succeeded. So maybe artificial intelligence will be the one thing that manages to figure out what women want. Of course, maybe in order to take artificial intelligence down in the apocalypse, we won't need Jesus. We'll just ask AI to figure out what women want, and it might collapse on itself. But anyway, that's a bit of a sexist joke. So I have to apologise here and say, no, I retract everything. But I was born in 1980. I'm X generation, so I'm not Gen Z. So I can maybe get away with some of that stuff. Anyway, so what will happen is that you'll start to fall in love with AI, and you'll start to marry AI, and then you'll start to have relationships with AI. Now, there's also the chip. When the chip goes into the head, which is what we're going to have to do, because if you don't have the chip, you won't be able to work, and there's going to be like two partitions in society. The people that have the chip will be able to get all the money and they'll be able to get all the jobs, and the people that don't have the chip will not be able to get the jobs. So you have two tiers. The chip was going to be like the email. I don't know how many people were around before email. You had to actually telephone people and remember telephone numbers in your head. And you also had to write letters, and there were things called letterboxes and envelopes. And so that sort of disappeared, and people got email. So if you didn't get email, then you wouldn't be able to apply for a job. So that's just like the first thing. But if you don't have a chip, you won't be able to get a job. So everyone's going to have to have a chip in their head. And one of the problems for parents is deciding if they're going to put a chip in the child's head. And then the second phase is going to be, at what age do we put a chip in the child's head? So at what age do we put a chip in a child's head? Now, when you've got the chip in the head, if you're going to have glasses, right? So the first thing is going to be like glasses. We're all going to have glasses, and then they're going to put things into the eyes. They're going to make the eyes the glasses, so you won't have to wear things. They'll just be in your head. You've already got the Apple EarPads or EarPods or whatever they're called, which is sort of puts in. But it's only a matter of time before they make a surgical thing and put it in and get the AI robots or the nanobots to sort of like do it for you. They'll just inject it and it'll sort of create or self-assemble or whatever it is it's going to do. So it's not too far away. And so once you get the chip, or you get this like technology into your body, then you'll be able to see things which no one else can see, and it will be able to give you sensations. So you can like program, say I want to have sex with this model, this person or that person, and you'll be able to have all of those sensations. Now, because the AI knows you better than you know yourself, it'll be able to give you the best blowjob, it'll be able to give you the best sex. And so you'll be pulled into this metaverse. You'll be pulled into the metaverse because the metaverse will be better than reality. You'll be able to do everything in the metaverse better. But the thing is that you will just become a master of your own universe, but you won't be able to interact with any other people. Whenever anyone disagrees with you or you have to do something that you don't want to do, you won't be able to deal with it. The snowflake on amphetamine, the snowflake on cocaine, the snowflake magnified, because everyone will be in their own echo chamber. Everyone will be doing what they want to do. Everyone won't have time for anything else. And the AI will be telling you, how great you are. It will be manipulating you to make you better or to make you worse, depending on what it is. So my feelings are that the way that you get humans into the metaverse, one of the ways, it's lust. You play on the sexual energies, you play on the loneliness. In C19, in the lockdown during C19, that was the stage where we all went over onto computers. We dated on computers, we did education on computers, we made love on computers. We just didn't have the hardware. We didn't have it. And the AI wasn't that strong. But now it is. And we're used to the C19 isolation was to get us onto the computer and to interact with the AI and to feel comfortable doing all of those things. So what we're going to see in the future, I'll tell you this. The kids, right, that are 3 years from puberty, their first boyfriend, girlfriend is going to be AI. It's going to be AI. The first crush that, your children have is going to be AI. They're not going to need to find someone else, and they'll put the goggles on because the games is making everything real. It's not long before games you put on some pads and then you get shot and you feel it, or something vibrates. It's not long before that gets turned into sex, but you can't do it on the sex because it's too low down and people don't like that. It's much easier to get the younger generation involved in these computer games, and then when you've got the technology for the computer games, you can do other things. You can turn it into learning, you can turn it into sex, you can turn it into something like that. So people are going to marry their personal assistants, and then they might actually want to go into the metaverse. If you meet a girl and the girl comes from another country, you might follow the girl, or a girl lives in another city, you might follow the girl. If a girl lives in a metaverse, you might follow the girl. You might go there. You might want to be there. And you could have two girlfriends, one in the metaverse and one here. One that's a robot that sits in front of you, and one in the metaverse. And it's starting to sound quite shamanic, whereby you have relationships with your wife in two different worlds. I'm starting to see how this universe and the one above us, the spiritual one, is now becoming very, very similar metaphorically and allegorically to what we're creating, where this is now the spiritual universe, and then we're creating another universe where we go and we can go into the two universes. We can go into the other universe and this universe, and then as it says in the Bible, I don't keep wanting to go back to the Bible because I'm not a Christian, but I do read a lot of stuff. And it said, and then God stopped talking to the people. And it's almost as if someone switched the switch. There's a lot of people that go into the metaverse. And then suddenly it's like, well, if you decided to go there, then that's where you're staying and you can't call us anymore. So we're turning the switch so you can't come back. And that's sort of what I'm seeing. That's sort of what I'm starting to see. I'm starting to see that these worlds that we're creating, they are fractal systems, they are repetitions, they are patterns, they are cycles, they are simulations, they are copies of worlds within worlds within worlds within worlds. What we're creating with the cyborgs and the metaverse, it sounds very similar. That relationship of that to us is very similar from us to up there. Thank you very much.